Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video I'm bringing to you 8 binge-worthy books to read. All these books will be very difficult for you to put down because you'll not be able to stop flipping the pages as something keeps on happening in a very interesting way in all of these 8 books. I have a collection of books from various different genres, so without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first book that I want to recommend to you is an adult contemporary romance, and it is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, in which we follow our main character Emma and her husband Jesse, who have been sweethearts ever since high school. But what happens just one day before their first anniversary is Jesse goes missing because he goes on this trip for his work on a helicopter and gets lost. No one is able to find Jesse as well as the other people inside the helicopter, because of which he is assumed to be dead right now. Emma has spent 3 to 4 years of her life just accepting the fact that he is no more and moving on with her life. And during this time only she meets another man from her school times again, and both of them develop a relationship and get engaged to each other. Only after she gets engaged she gets this phone call, and the person who's actually calling her is Jesse. Giving her the news is he's not actually dead and he has survived the crash. Now Emma has to choose between the one true love that she had and was married to before and the one true love that she is having right now in her life. And she also has this doubt that whether she has only one true love in her life. It is basically a love triangle, and the way in which the author has dealt with it here is just super amazing. She is definitely one of the authors who writes the best romances that I've come across in my life, and it is also very bittersweet. I was not able to stop reading this book at all, and it is definitely perfect for binge reading over a weekend. The next one is an adult grimdark fantasy book, and it is also the first one in a series, and the book is quite huge, so I'm sure that if you are a binge reader you will enjoy reading this. And the book is Empire of the Vampire by Kristoff, in which we see this world in which the earth or the planet where the story takes place is taken over by the vampires, and there has not been a sunrise over the past 2 decades. And our main character Gabriel here is half human half monster, and he is the last in the line of people who can actually bring down the vampires and save the empire from being taken over by them forever. We just see his journey and it is super gruesome in its tone. In the beginning itself I said that it is a grimdark fantasy book, and trust me, this is one of the most delicious grimdark fantasies that I've read so far. It will just make you feel the darkness of this world, literally and also in a figurative tone. More than anything, the thing which I loved about this book is the way in which the author writes his main character and all the other side characters inside the story also. I have read some other of his books before and I've liked the same thing there too. The world building in this one is just epic, and if you are a person who likes to read a lot of cussing in your books, trust me, you will enjoy this one, because Kristoff is super creative when it comes to writing cussing, and every time I read something that is written in a cussing way by him, it just boggles my mind. It is funny in its specific way and also super fun to read, and the amount of twists and character deaths that this book has will just make you keep on binging the book. It is definitely not something that you can read over a couple of days. You should take a few days in order to read and soak in the story, but it is something that is definitely worth binging. The next one is a YA fantasy series, and it is A Song of Wraiths and Ruins and A Psalm of Storms and Silence by Roseanne A. Brown. That is a YA fantasy series that is based off certain cultures from the African continent, and the author herself was born in Ghana, and the way in which she has brought in the culture inside the series is really fresh to read. It is just a typical YA series that is happening in a fantastical world, but the way in which the author has provided this beautiful backdrop to it makes the series just a lot fresher, and it also has super good representations of mental illnesses and trauma in specific compared to anything else. It also addresses the issues of classism and racism really well without going so deep. Here we follow our two main characters, Karina, who's the crown princess, and this other boy named Malik, who can do magic but has a lot of anxiety issues. Both of them have to kill the other person without the other knowing in order to attain the goal that they have inside the series. But just like in most other YA series, both of them also develop an affinity for each other, and how they are going to kill the other person to get what they want is the plot of the series. I am specifically recommending this one as a whole duology because both of these books are super fast paced, and you can easily finish this entire duology in just 2 days because it is very fast paced and you will just want to keep on flipping the chapters. The character work is also really good, and the author's writing is also very digestible. So if you are looking for a short series that you want to binge, you can go forward and try this one. The next one is a literary fiction book, and it is My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult, in which we follow our main character Anna, who's actually given birth to her parents just in order to fulfill some of the medical needs that her elder sister Kate has. and Kate has actually been suffering from this kind of leukemia which is making her organs shut down one by one, and just in order to keep her alive and healthy, they have actually genetically engineered Anna and given birth to her so that some of the parts from her body can be donated by her to Kate in order to keep her alive. Anna has been okay with this when she was a child, but since she has gotten into her teen years right now, she is understanding that she cannot always have her life on her own as long as she has to keep on donating her body for her sister. So what she ends up doing is she sues her parents for the right over her own body, and because of this there are a lot of morally grey things that are to be experienced by all the characters inside this book. It has kind of a courtroom drama and a lot of things that are happening medically for the people inside a family, and it also shows the push and pull of emotions between the parents and this child. At the same time, the push and pull of emotions between her and her sister because of various reasons. You will want to know what is going to happen next and how they are going to deal with certain circumstances that just come in between out of nowhere. I personally did not like the ending of the book alone, but I was able to finish this huge book in just within a span of 2 days because it had a ton of different stuff going on that were all interesting. So I'd suggest you to try reading this once. The next one is yet another adult contemporary romance, and I'm recommending this here because it is the lightest of all the books inside this list, and it is also something that is just plain outright entertaining. I don't expect anyone to expect anything else out of this book because it is just plain entertaining. There is nothing else about this book that I like that much, and it is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, which is one of the most popular romances on booktube and whatever book kind of social media that is out there. Here we basically follow our main character Olive, who is pursuing her PhD, and accidentally she kisses one of the professors inside her university, and both of them start fake dating, which then turns into an actual romance. It is just a simple steamy adult romance, and you can just read it for the entertainment purpose alone. The only different thing about this book compared to any other adult romance is that it is set against a different backdrop because our main characters are inside academia and most of their time is spent in their work compared to their personal lives. It is just outright entertaining and fun to read, and if you want something deep out of a romance, I'd not suggest you to try this one, but if you just want something steamy and fun and angsty to read, you can definitely go forward and try this one. The next one is a young adult mystery, and it is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which is the first book inside the series. It actually has an original trilogy, and after that there are 2 standalones which have been released, and I have read the first standalone alone. I have not read the most recent one, but for me, of all the 5 books that are out until now and of the 4 that I've read, this is my most favorite because it is really well done by the author. Here we follow our main character Stevie Bell, who gets this opportunity to get into this very high profile elite school, and she can choose whatever she wants to learn inside the school, and there are hardly like 50 people who are selected to do high school there, and it is super well done by the author. If you are a person who likes atmospheric writing, you need to try this one, and I don't want to reveal much about the mystery of this book. You just need to go forward blind and try reading it because I think that is the best way to enjoy this book. I know that it's just a YA book, but trust me, even if you are an adult, you will enjoy this one because I remember enjoying this book immensely and I want to reread it as soon as I can, and it is definitely one book that is perfect for a weekend binge read. The next one is yet another literary fiction, and you can also read this book over a weekend itself because it is very short, and it is One Part Women by Perumal Murugan, translated to English by Aniruddhan Vasudevan. It is translated from the Tamil language, and it is one of the most emotional books that I've read so far. For the 200 pages that the story runs for, this book is epic in terms of the emotions that it evoked in me. Here we follow a couple, Kali and Ponna, sometime during the early days of our independence. And the thing about Kali and Ponna is that they are living in this village which is very conservative, and they have not had children even 10 to 12 years after their marriage, because of which they are scorned by the society and also taunted in many ways for it. Now Kali is a person who is very easygoing, and when anyone comes and taunts them with that particular reason, he doesn't pay that much respect or attention to them. But Ponna is not like that. When anyone comes and taunts them, she is the one who gives a sharp reply and shuts them up properly, because of which they are continuously facing a lot of problems. It just shows how a society can actually harm a couple to a very intense way and end up just ruining their lives forever. Having said all that, it is not just a completely sad book, okay? The love that Kali and Ponna have for each other is shown in the most raw and pure, delicate way by the author in this book, and trust me, reading those instances in which there are just conversation between these two characters is really emotional in its tone. It is also one book which can show all the different types of cultures that we have in our country that we are not even aware of because of all the media that we are consuming nowadays. Just keep in mind that it will be an emotionally taxing read, but it will be completely worth it. The final book in this one is a YA romance, and it is also kind of a sad book because it has a supernatural touch to it, and the book that I am talking about is You've Reached Sam by Justin Thao. in which we follow our main characters Julie and Sam, of whom Sam has actually died. Sam has actually died, and when Sam was alive, Julie and Sam had this plan to finish high school and go to Japan and study together there by renting an apartment and living together. But what happens out of nowhere is Sam dies in an accident and Julie is processing her grief over his death, and during this time what happens is she just wants to hear his voice for one last time, and she makes a call to his phone wanting to hear his voice note. But what happens out of nowhere is Sam actually ends up picking the call and talking to her, but everyone knows that Sam is not alive right now, so he's actually talking from the other side of life, and both of them are not sure for how long they can keep this going on, because at some particular point the calls are not going to be returned by Sam and he's not going to be able to pick up the phone, and how Julie is going to process the death of Sam and grieve over his passing and move on with her life without forgetting him is the actual plot of this book. It is very sad in its tone, but super emotional and intense also, which will just make you keep on flipping the pages. Again, it is a very short book, not even 300 pages long, so you can easily finish it in just a single day to see for how long these two lovers are going to be able to speak with each other, and when the line goes dead, what is going to happen then. So yes guys, those are all the 8 binge-worthy books that I wanted to recommend to you today. And if you have read any of these books, please do let me know down in the comments so that we can discuss about them. And if you have any other binge-worthy book recommendations, also leave them in the comments below, because I myself and the others can also get some recommendations from you. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. And if you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.